Notice, notice, notice. Gauranga, Gauranga, Balite Habe. Okay, check to see if we're online. Yes, we are online. All right. Give me a second. All right. Okay. Let's see what song we will chant today. I know what song I want to chant. Here we go. I didn't chanted this morning, but I can chant it again tonight. Just make sure everything, everything is working. And actually what I should do is turn down the sound level so it won't be too loud. Otherwise it gets distorted. That's better. Kasarir Hare Hare Murikainayane Mahavidir Krishna Prasthaya Pudale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Dhaminiki Namine Namaste Latchire Guruvani Pracharane Shesha Sunya Ashachari Satamane Sri Krishna Shukana Prabhu Nijananda Sri Advaita Prada Shiva Sari Gorbhakta Jaya Sri Krishna Caitanya Bodhijananda Shri Advaita Gada Shiva Sati Gaurvata Vrinda Krishna 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 Jaya Jaya Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Nichako, Bo. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Ramanya Jaya, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Bhagavata all Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON, Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Dantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Huidas Thakuru Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopikopana Shyam Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya. Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Bhajani Nibhishesha Shunyabadi Paschatya Dejatarni. All right, we're going to continue with our study of the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions to Srila Rupa Goswami from the 19th chapter of the Madhya Lila, beginning with text, I believe, 171 today. All right. don't think I have any announcements. Hopefully, I'm going to Fiji 1 week from today. Actually, 1 week from Sunday, sorry. So, let's start with the Caitanya Caritamrta. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya. Actually, Omagana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master's divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with a torch light of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Turn up the volume. So, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Alrighty, we're ready to go. So yesterday we were talking about the Bhakti Lata Bija and the process of hearing and chanting, and also talking about the Bhagavad Vidi versus the Pancharatrika Vidi. Bhagavad Vidi, of course, is hearing and chanting and preaching, and Pancharatrika Vidi is the deity worship and temple worship in general. Okay. And how Krishna consciousness goes on 2 tracks, Bhagavad Vidi and Pancharatrika Vidi. Just like a train needs 2 tracks, unless you got a monorail. But we are not interested in monorails, we are interested in 2-track trains. Bi-rails, not monorails. Manguna Shuti Matrena Maisarva Guhashaye Manogatira Vichina Yata Gangam Vasom Budao. Just as the celestial waters of the Ganges flows unobstructed into the ocean, so when my devotees simply hear of me, their minds come to me. I reside in the hearts of all. It's Lord Kapila Dev. This verse and the following 3 verses are quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:29, 11 to 14. They were spoken by Lord Krishna in the form of Kapila Dev. So that's spontaneous devotional service where one's mind automatically flows to Krishna. Right now, our mind automatically flows to Maya. So we have to endeavor to think of Krishna, but a pure devotee has to endeavor to think of Maya, or at least advanced devotee. The mind automatically goes to Krishna. Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasya Nigrasya Yudharitam Ahaitukya Vyahita Avyavahita Ya Bhakti Purushottame. These are the characteristics of transcendental loving service to Purushottama, means the best person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is causeless and it cannot be obstructed in any way. So Purushottama, Purusha means like a person. Uttama means the topmost person. Of course, that's Krishna. And devotional service, pure devotional service, it's not stopped by any material condition, nor does it require any material prerequisite, like haituki pratyata, and yatma suprasidati. It always satisfies the self. Salokya sharsti samipya sarupyae katvam apyuta diyamanam nagrananti Vanamat sevanam janaha. My devotees do not accept salokya, sarshri, sarupya, samipya, or oneness with me, even if I offer these liberations in preference to serving me. So we've gone over this before. There's 5 types of liberation. There's the living on the same planet of the Lord, having the opulence of the Lord, having the form of the Lord, associating with the Lord. Those are the 4 types of Vaishnava liberation. And The last one's called Sayuja, which means merging into Krishna. So the devotees just want to serve Krishna. Let's say if Krishna comes up to a pure devotee and says, "Hey, would you like to live on the same planet with me?" And the devotee, he'll say, "Only if it's service to you. I only want to please you." He doesn't ask for anything, not liberation, not going back to Godhead, not having opulences, none of that. That's a pure devotee. Because if those who are not pure, yes, you ask Krishna for something. If that gives you an impetus to do devotional service, oh Krishna, Krishna, I want to be happy. Vishayat chadiya kavi shuddhahavi mana. But a pure devotee, he's simply asking, I simply want to please you. Whatever you send me to hell, I will go. Narayana parat sarvena kutashtrina bhiviti swarga bhavarga keshut apitilya darshana. You send me to heaven, you send me to hell, wherever you send me, that's just as well. Hey, it's a rhyme. You send me to heaven, you send me to hell, wherever you send me, it's just as well. Because I want to serve you in loving devotion. And let's think of a rhyme, right? I want to serve you in loving devotion. And that's the only type, that's my only desire for motion. How about that? Saiva bhakti yogakya atyantika udarata yanati vrajya trigunan madhvavayo papadyate. Bhakti yoga, as described above, is the ultimate goal of life. By rendering devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one transcends the modes of material nature and attains the spiritual position on the platform of direct devotional service. Mukti mukti harivancha yarimane hoya sadhana prema utpana nahaya. If one is infected with a desire for material enjoyment, I want more and more and more and more, or material liberation, I just want to get out of here, he cannot rise to the platform of pure, loving, devotional service to the Lord, infected. Even though he may be superficially render devotional service according to the routine, regulated principles. Wow. As long as one is infected by those things. How do you get out of the infection? By good association. By association with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions that if one maintains within his heart the desire to enjoy the result of good work or being embarrassed by the material world, the desire to get out of the material entanglement, one will never be able to attain the transcendental mellows of devotional service. In other words, one must not desire material profit when rendering devotional service. Even if one follows all the 64 regulated principles, he cannot attain pure devotional service with a contaminated heart. Oh my goodness, that makes it so hard. No, it doesn't. You serve a pure devotee. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu. Nityam bhagavata sevaya. By regular hearing from Bhagavatam or serving a pure devotee, then all that is inauspicious in the heart becomes destroyed almost to nil. So it's not simply the regulated principles. Yes, we follow them for sure. But the association, which is service to the pure devotee, then these desires drop away. Like Dhruva Maharaj, he desired a kingdom greater than that of Lord Brahma. But by serving Narada Muni, by following his instructions, what happened? All the desires dropped away, and when he saw Krishna, they all went bye-bye. Bhukti mukti spriha yavat pisachi ridivartate tavad bhakti sukhasyatra katam abhyudayo bhavet. The material desire to enjoy the material world and desire to become liberated from material bondage are considered to be like two witches, and they haunt one like ghosts. Ooh. As long as these witches remain within the heart, how can one feel transcendental bliss as long as these two witches remain in the heart? There's no possibility of enjoying the transcendental bliss of devotional service. Wow! This verse is found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.22. As long as they are still in the heart, there's no possibility of enjoying the transcendental bliss of devotional service. You may get a little taste, a shadow attachment, that's true, but the real ecstasy doesn't come as long as these two witches remain in the heart. Sadhana Bhakti Haiti Haya Rati Raudaya Rati Gada Hailatara Prema Namakaya. By regularly rendering devotional service, one gradually becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When that attachment is intensified, it becomes love of God. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.2 gives the following information about Sadhana Bhakti. Sadhana Bhakti means practice. Practice, practice, practice. In other words, you may not have a taste for something, but you practice. If you want to learn how to play the piano, you got to practice, practice, and practice. And then by practicing, you will eventually become spontaneous. Kriti sadhya bhavat sadhya bhavasa sadhana bhata nichasarasya bhavasya prakatyam hridi sadhyata. The process of devotional service, beginning with chanting and hearing, is called Sadhana Bhakti. This includes the regulative principles that are intended to awaken one to devotional service. Devotional service is always dormant. There's that expression again. It is always dormant in everyone's heart. Remember that. And by the offenseless chanting of the holy names of the Lord, one's original dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened. This awakening to Krishna consciousness is the beginning of sadhana bhakti. This can be divided into many different parts, including faith, association with devotees, initiation by the spiritual master, engagement in devotional service, and the instruction of the spiritual master, steadiness in devotional service, and the awakening of taste for devotional service. This is actually the hierarchy that's mentioned in other places. Although Shraddha, in the beginning there's a little bit of faith, interest, preliminary. Tata sadhu sango ta, then one begins to hang out with the devotees. And then bhajana kriya, one begins to execute or do the same thing devotees are doing. That is bhajan, sadhana bhakti, bhajana kriya. And then by doing that, anartana vritti, the unwanted things disappear from the heart by the right association. And then by anartana vritti, one becomes steady, nishta, which is what's mentioned here. And then, after nishta, comes ruchi. And then after ruchi, then a shakti, and then bhava, and then finally prema, or love. In this way, one can become attached to Krishna and his service. And when this attachment is intensified, it results in ecstatic love for Krishna. The word rati is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.3.41 as follows: Vyaktam Mashranate Vanta Lakshite Rati Lakshanam Mumukshu Prabhritainam Chedbhavadeshuratir Nahi. When the tenderness of the heart is manifested, there is rati, or attachment. But those, also means a taste, but those who are interested in being liberated from material bondage will not manifest this tenderness. Wow. In other words, if you're interested in liberation, this attachment is not like material attachment. When one is freed of material contamination, attachment for Krishna's service awakens, and it is called rati. You have a taste. In the material world, there's an attachment for material enjoyment, but this is not rati. It's a rut. Transcendental rati can be awakened only on the spiritual platform. Ecstatic love for Krishna, prema, is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.41 as follows: Samyam mashrinita swanto vamatsvatishvayankitaha bhavatseva sandratma bhudai prema nigadyate. When the heart is completely softened and devoid of all material desires, And when one's emotional feelings become very strong, one becomes very much attached to Krishna. Such purified emotion is known as pure love. Prema vriddhi krame nama sneha mana pranaya uraga nuraga bhava mahabhava hoya. These are the stages of prema, of course. The basic aspects of prema, when gradually increasing to different states, are affection, abhorrence, love, attachment, further attachment, ecstasy, and great ecstasy. Wow. It was like sugar candy, or like sugar. Okay, you get sugar solution, you cook it down, it becomes like syrupy, then it gets crystallized, and then it gets solid. That's an example Lord Chaitanya gave. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.284, Sneha, affection, is described as follows: Sandrasjita dravam kurvan prema sneha itiryate shanikasyapi nehasyad vishleshasya sahishnuta. That aspect of prema in which the melting of the heart for the lover is concentrated is called sneha, or affection. The symptom of such affection is that the lover cannot for a moment remain without the association of the beloved. Phew. Description of man can be found in the Madhya Lila chapter 2, verse 66. Similarly, a description of pranaya is also there as far as raga is concerned. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.287 says, Sneha sarago yena syat sukam dukam api sputam tat sambandha lave pyatra priti prana vyavyair api. That stage at which affection for the beloved converts unhappiness into happiness is called raga, or attachment. Phew. Raga. So raga nuga means to follow in the footsteps of someone who has attachment. When one has such attachment for Krishna, he can give up his own life to satisfy his beloved Krishna. There's so much love. Anuraga, bhava, and mahabhava are described in the 6th chapter of the Madhya Lila, verse 13. The purport to that verse explains Adihurudha mahabhava. So this is something basically just experienced by Radharani and the most intimate associates of Radharani. Yache Bejek Shura Sagura Kandasara Sharkara Sita Michare Uttama Michare Yara. The gradual development of prema may be compared to different stages of sugar. First there's the seed of the sugar cane, then the juice is extracted from the cane. When this juice is boiled, it forms liquid molasses, then solid molasses, then sugar, candy, rock candy, and finally lozenges. This is similar to what I just described before. So by the process, the idea is by the process of devotional service, it's like cooking down the sugar solution. So it gets sweet, sweeter, and sweetest. It gets better all the time, believe me. As long as you keep good association and avoid bad association, you are fine. And avoid offenses against devotees, and against the holy name, against the holy Dham, against the deities. Sabha Krishna Bhakti Rasera Stahi Bhava Milayadi Vibhava Anubhava. All these stages combined are called Stahi Bhava, or continuous love of Godhead in devotional service. In addition to these stages, there are Vibhava and Anubhava. So let's explain it. Stahi Bhava means steady, or continuous love of God, according to your particular ras, whether you're a coward boy, whether you're a friend of Krishna, whether you are a conjugal lover of Krishna, mother of Krishna, or servant of Krishna. And then the vibhava means the things that stimulate your emotion. Anubhavas means how you deliberately express that particular emotion. Attachment for Krishna never wanes. It increases more and more as one attains different stages. Unless one commits offenses, then it wanes. Wane away. All the stages together are called Stahi Bhava, or continuous existence of ecstasy. The 9 forms of devotional service are Shravanam, means to hear, Kirtanam, chant, Vishnu, Smaranam, to remember Krishna, Padasevanam, to serve the lotus feet, Archanam, to do deity worship, Vandanam, to offer prayers, Dasham, become a servant, Sakyam, to become the friend of Krishna, like Arjuna, Atmani Vedanam, just to surrender everything, and that's from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, 5th chapter, text 23. When continuous love of God is mixed with the process of devotional service, it is called vibhava. So vibhava is the thing that stimulates you. Anubhava is how you express your stimulation. Sattvika means the continual ecstasy that is part of your nature. And vyabhachari means the ecstatic feelings, symptoms that occur without any warning, without any control. There's 33 of them. The devotee thus enjoys a variety of transcendental bliss. In his Amrita Prabhava Bhasha, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that Anubhava can be divided into 13 categories. 1. Dancing, Haribol. 2. Rolling on the ground. I'm not going to do that. 3. Singing. 4. Yelling. Gauranga. 5. Jumping. 6. Making loud noises. 7. Yawning. Not the type of yawning when you're going to sleep. It's a symptom of ecstasy. 8. Heavy breathing. Not the type of breathing you do when you're exercising. But it's just like, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. 9. Not caring for public opinion. Just chanting Hare Krishna everywhere. Not being crazy and disturbing people's minds either. 10. Discharging saliva. It's an Anubhava. 11. Roaring laughter. 12. Unsteadiness. Unsteadiness means on your feet, not unsteady in devotional service. And 13. Hiccuping. Like that. These are symptoms of Anubhava. Thus, the transcendental mellows are experienced in different stages. Similarly, there are many other forms of expression that have been analytically studied by the Goswamis. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami gives each and every symptom a particular name. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu actually really gets into defining, analyzing, categorizing everything. The symptoms and aspects of pure devotional service and the different stages of pure devotional service. Sattvika vyabhachari vavera milane Krishna Bhakti Rasahaya Amrita Achvadane. When the higher standard of ecstatic love is mixed with the symptoms of sattvika, means when the consciousness comes to the transcendental mode of goodness, not the material mode of goodness, and vyabhachari, that means uncontrolled ecstasy, the devotee relishes the transcendental bliss of loving Krishna, a variety of nectarian tastes. Yai chedari sita garita maricha karpura milane rasala khaya amrita madhura. These tastes are like a combination of yogurt, sugar candy, ghee, clarified butter, black pepper, and camphor, and are as palatable as sweet nectar. Just like a sweet. Bhakta Bedayurati Beda Pancha Parakara Shantarati Dasharati Sakyurati Ara Vatsalyurati Madhuyurati He Pancha Viveda Rati Vede Krishna Bhakti Rase Pancha Veda. According to the devotee, attachment falls within 5 categories of what? Shanto Rati, that means the taste of just appreciating the greatness of God. Dasharati, the taste of serving God. Sakyarati, the taste of being a servant of God. Vatsalyarati, the taste of being the parent of God. And Madhuryarati, the taste of being a conjugal lover of God. These 5 categories arise from devotees' different attachments to the Supreme Personality of God, and the transcendental mellows derived from devotional service are also 5 varieties. So in other words, every one of us has an eternal relationship with Krishna that is constituted of one of those 5 varieties. In other words, we do not know right now because we are covered. We're like a treasure that's covered, buried. And so it's there. Our relationship is there. It's just a question of remembering it, awakening to it. It's like you wake up in the morning, you remember who you are. So in the same way you wake up and you discover, hey, I'm a friend of Krishna. I was always a friend of Krishna. I just forgot it. I had material amnesia. I forgot that I was Krishna's friend. I thought I was a friend of myself. I thought I was a friend of some mundane person. I thought I was a friend of whoever, Donald Trump. Shanta Rati, so Shanta means the peaceful adoration relationship one may have with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.16.18 as follows: Manase nivri kalpatvam shama ityabhidiyate. When one is completely free from all doubts and material attachments, he attains the neutral position called Shanta. Okay. Vihaya vishayon mukyam nijananda sitiryata atmana katyate sotra svabhava shama yichasau payasyava pradhananam mamata gandhavarjita paramatmyatiha krishnai jata shanti ratirmata. The Shanta Rati realization of Krishna is in the neutral stage between the conception of impersonalism and personalism. It's not quite, let us say, personalism, unless it has a touch of servitude. This means that one is not very strongly attached to the personal feature of the Lord, and appreciation of the greatness of the Lord is called Shanta Rati, like I said, our Father who art in heaven. This is attachment not to the personal feature, but to the impersonal feature, the greatness of God. Generally, one at this stage is attached to the Paramatma feature, the Supreme Personality of God. That's God in the heart. Ishwara Sarva Bhutanam Ritesha Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan, from the Gita. Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudhani Maya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Gita 18:61. On this strength of this statement from the Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that in Shanta Rasa, a devotee sees the Lord representation everywhere. And then let's get to Dasha Rati, servitor relationship. Dasha Rati is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.27. Thus, Swasmad bhavanti nyurnyas tenu grahaya harer mataha aradyat vat mikatesham rati priti tirita tatra saktir krid anyatra priti sangharane asau. When the Supreme Lord in his localized aspect is appreciated and a great devotee understands his subordinate position, not only does he surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but due to his subordinate position, he wishes to render some service and thus become favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee in Shanta Rati is not very much willing to render service to the Lord, but a devotee in Dasha Rati voluntarily wants to render service. Due to this attitude, the devotee in Dasha Rati realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead more fully than a devotee in Shanta Rati. He considers the Lord to be a worshipable object, and this means that his attachment for the Lord increases. Thus, Dasha Rati is characterized as Bhakti Parashenu Bhavo Virakti Anyatra Cha 11.2.42. In other words, on the Dasha Rati platform, a devotee is attached to rendering service to the Lord, and he is detached from the material activities. Shanta Rati is neither material nor spiritual, but Dasha Rati is actually on the spiritual platform. There's no attachment for material things on the spiritual platform. Virakti Anyatra Cha. A devotee in Dasha Rati has no attachment for anything but Krishna's service. And that's important, because Shanta Ras, pure Shanta Ras, is not the devotee's constitutional position. As stated, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jivera Swarupa Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. Our Swarupa, our form, our nature is to be a servant of Krishna. Also, Krishna indicates that in the Gita. What is that? Mami Vangsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. That we're eternal and we're actually part of Krishna, just like Prabhupada gives the example. Just like the hand is part of the body, meant to serve the body. When it doesn't serve the body, it's useless. Let's say if I have a hand that wanted to express its independence and just do its own thing. Let's say like this, go like this, like that, like this, and this, and this, and this. I would tie him down, because I wouldn't cut him off, but I would just like put some ropes around him, tie him down, restrict his movement. Or just put some electrodes there to make my hand act according to my will, if the hand became too spastic like that. So that's what's happened to us. We become too spastic and acting on our own behalf, and we're not contributing anything to ourselves, and we're not contributing anything to the Supreme Personality of God, and therefore we have to be tied down by the gunas in the material world. Ahikasit shanamapi jatatishti karma kritkaryate yavasa karma sarva prakriti jagrala. And be forced to act helplessly according to the impulses born in the modes of nature. The modes tell us to do something. The modes tell us to wake up or go to sleep. Just like we're trying to sleep, trying to wake up in the morning, and then wake up, the modes say, no, don't wake up. Just a mode of ignorance. Anyway, and now we're going to get to Sakyarati, which is the friendship relationship. Sakyarati is described in the Bhakti Rasa Sindhu 2:530 as follows: Yeshu stulya mukundasya te sakaya satamata samyad vishramba rupayisham rati sakyam mihochate. According to the opinion of advanced devotees and learned scholars, a devotee in Sakyarati feels equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he's his buddy. There's a relationship and friendship. Due to having a friendly relationship with the Lord, not only is one free from material attachment, but one believes in equal dealings with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Sakyarati. The Sakyarati is so advanced that he treats the Lord at an equal level and even exchanges joking words with him. Hey, Krishna, how you feeling today? Can you imagine doing that with God? Although one is never equal to the Supreme Personality of God, the Sakyarati devotee feels equal to the Lord. And of course, Arjuna is actually the typical example of that. And he does not feel guilty because of this. Usually it is offensive to consider oneself equal to the Lord. The Mayavadis, for example, consider themselves equal to the Lord, but such feelings entail bereavement because they are material. Sakyarati, however, is a feeling experienced in the mind of a pure devotee, and he is eternally related with the Supreme Personality, God, in that feeling. So the next one is Vatsaya, parental relationship. We're going up, 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 up. Vatsaya Rati is described as follows in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2:533. Uravau ye harerasyate puja iti vashutaha anugraha maite shamratir vatsalyam uchate idam lalana bhavyashish jivukha sparshanadi krit. When a living entity is situated on the platform of Vatsaya Rati, he thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his childhood feature. In this feature, the Lord has to be protected by the devotee, and at this time the devotee takes the position of being worshipped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they become the mother or father of Krishna, or have the mood of being the mother and father. Of course, the actual mother and father is always Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. You can't become them, but you can have that mood and assist them. These feelings of parental love are called Vatsaya Rati. When the devotee is situated on this platform, he wants to maintain the Lord like a son, and he desires all good fortune for the Lord. He offers blessings to the Lord by touching his feet and head. And finally, the highest is Madhurya. Madhura Rati, or attachment in conjugal love, is described as follows. Mito hare mrgakshascha sambhogasyadikaranam madhura paraparyaya priyata kyoditaratahi asyam kataksha brokshepa priha vani smita daya. Madhuya Rati, the conjugal relationship experienced between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the young damsels of Brajabhumi, continuously exists in 8 kinds of remembrances. This intimate relationship brought about by conjugal love produces movements of the eyebrows, glancing, sweet words, and exchanges of joking words. It's hard for people to understand. Shantadasha Sakyavatsalya Madhuya Rasanama Krishna Bhakti Rasa Madhya Pancha Pradana. The chief transcendental mellows experienced with the Supreme Personality of Godhead are 5: Shantadasha, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhura. So these are the 5 rasas, or tastes. Shantarasa described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.1.4.6 as follows: Vachamanayar vibhavadhyay shamanam swadhyutam gataha stai shanti uratirira shanta bhakti rasasmitaha prayasvasuka jatiyam sukam sharatrayoginham kinvatma sokyam aganam ganam swishamayam sukham tatrapisha surupanu vavasyaivo ruhetuta dasharivan manogyatva lila dirna tatamata. When Shantarati, neutral attraction, exists continuously and is mixed with ecstatic emotion, and when the devotee relishes that neutral position, is called Satyabhati Rasa. It's not quite spiritual. Shantabhakti Rasa. Devotees generally relish the impersonal feature of the Supreme Personality of God, since their taste of transcendental bliss is incomplete. And this is similar to what we just read in the last purport. It is called agana, or not concentrated. Comparison is made between ordinary milk and concentrated milk. When the same devotee goes beyond the impersonal and tastes the service of the Supreme Personality of God in his original form, as Satchidananda Vigraha, Brahma Samhita 5.1, his transcendental blissful body, complete knowledge, and eternity, the taste is called concentrated Gana, transcendental bliss. Sometimes the devotees in Shantaras relish transcendental bliss after meeting the Supreme Personality of God, but this is not comparable to the transcendental bliss relished by the devotee situated in Dasharas, the transcendental mellow in which one renders service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dasha Rasa, or Dasha Bhakti Rasa, is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.2, 3-4 as follows: Atmo Chitar Vibhavadhyay Pratirashvadaniyatam Neta Chetasi Bhaktanam Pratibhakti Rasomatahanu Grahasya Dashatval Latyatvad Apyayam Vidha Vidyate Sambrahma Prito Gaurava Prita Ityapi. When, according to his desires, the living entity develops love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this beginning stage of love is called Dasha Bhakti Rasa. That's the constitutional position to serve the Lord. Dasha Bhakti Rasa is divided into 2 categories called Sambrahma Dasha and Gaurava Dasha. In Sambrahma Dasha, the devotee renders respectful service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in the more advanced Gaurava Dasha, the devotee feels that he is receiving protection from the Lord. Satyabhati Rasa is described as follows in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and then we're going to have to end. 3.3.1 Stai Vavo Vibhavadhyay Sakyam Atmo Chitara Iha Nitaschite Satam Pushtim Rasa Prayanudiriyate According to one's original consciousness, ecstatic emotions may be exhibited as continuously existing in fraternity. When this stage of Krishna consciousness is mature, it is called Preyo Rasa or Satyabhati Rasa. That's when one's a friend of the Lord. Vatsalya, that means parental. Let's see, I think we have to end here. And things are going so quickly. 171, and this is middle of verse 185. Middle. Let's start with Vatsalya. Okay, so let's stop sharing, and we will be able to answer questions in a second after we unmute you all. And there's one question right here in the chat window. At least one question. Okay. When a devotee is situated in the platform of Shantarasa, he desires neither elevation, healthy planets, or liberation. These are the results of karma and jnana, and the devotee considers them no better than hell. A person situated on the Shantarasa platform manifests two transcendental qualities: detachment from material desires and full attachment to Krishna. And somewhere in between, it's actually somewhere in between the material and spiritual world. That's what Prabhupada said. Will this automatically happen? Shanta means, the word Shanta comes from the word Shanti, which means peaceful. So a devotee is automatically peaceful. So let's talk about the different rasas right now. They're like the different material qualities in the sense, like earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, and earth, water, fire, air, ether, the Pancha Mahabhuta. Each and every one which has a connected sense and sense object connected to it. Like there's the sound in ether. And that's the most subtle of the material elements of the Pancha Mahabhuta. It's Pancha Mahabhuta. Mind, sounds, false ego. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. So then when you get to the grosser elements, let's say earth is the grossest element, you still have sound. So the quality of Shanta or Shantarati is that one is seen, Krishna, generally Prabhupada said, as the super soul, all-pervading personality of Godhead. It's somewhere in between personalism and impersonalism. It's not quite devotional service, but one who is on the higher ratis or higher rasas, such as Sakya, Vatsalya, or Dasha, they also have some of the qualities of Shantarati, which are being peaceful. That's why it's called Shantarati. But of course, as one advances, the whole question of looking at the Lord or looking at the absolute truth from an awe-and-reverent platform or awe-and-reverent mood, that actually diminishes. And finally, when you get to the Madhurya Ras, there's no awe and reverence in Madhurya Ras. Gone. And even Vatsalya, there's no awe and reverence. But sometimes in the Sakya Ras, you have friends of Krishna who are younger than Krishna, so there's some reverence towards Krishna. Some of Krishna's friends who are equal to Krishna, some who are older than Krishna. Anyway, it gets a little complicated. Hare Krishna, Gurudev, you talked about how the pure devotees display various transcendental ecstasies. Many times people fake these. Yup. It's like, I am faking being ecstatic right now. Even if we know that such people are not experiencing these emotions, how do we prove this to others? That's not our business. That's between them and Krishna. All right? Unless they're really cheating others and showing ecstasies to make money or to get profit, adoration, and distinction. But we have to be very careful. We may not really understand, we don't understand the mind of a pure devotee and their ecstasies. I mean, like Haridas Thakur showed so many ecstasies, and we wouldn't understand that. And even you have great devotees like Shukadeva Goswami, of course, he was walking around naked. And everybody was teasing him, the young boys and the ladies, they were all like teasing him. And Rishabhadev, everybody was making offenses to him. So we have to be careful. I would not assume the worst with people unless they're really crazy. Okay? Just be careful. Just be careful around Vaishnavas. Yeah, Shanta can be a transparent heart also. But Shantarati is not really something that's completely spiritual, unless it has some mixture of dasha. Because the constitutional position of the living entity is Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Nitya Krishna Das. Unless you realize you're a servant of Krishna, then you're not quite on the spiritual platform. But if you're mainly Shanta and you have some tinge of servitude, like the trees in Vrindavan that are serving Krishna, then at that point you're on the spiritual platform. But there has to be a little tinge of servitude, or the focus of servitude. The trees are generally understood as Shantarati, but they are serving Krishna, so that's not pure Shantarati. It's mixture. And you see this sometimes in the different rasas in the spiritual world, that one will have a tinge of another type of rata. Rati. Not rata, rati. Will have a tinge of another one. So that happens. Just like the different colors in the spectrum, they mix and they mix and they mix and they make so many different colors. All right, who else has a question? Raise your hand. Type in the type window, in the chat window.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Puja and Vikash. Okay, you have the questions. Hare Krishna, good to see you.
Yeah. Maharaj, I've got a question.
I can't hear you.
You can? Okay, that's good.
Somehow or other, your microphone's not working.
Hang on. Can you hear us?
No, I can't. Can everybody else hear them? You can hear them? Hold on a second. That's my fault then. Wait a second. That is my fault because I have the wrong speaker on mine. Just give me a second. That's strange. All right, say something now.
Yeah.
I can hear you now. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a question which I don't know. It probably doesn't relate to what we are learning, but you know how in our scriptures we've got like 8.4 million species of life that
Yes.
one has to go through. Is it something similar that's mentioned in other religious scriptures, like Bible, for example?
Does the Bible mention that we go through 8,400,000?
Yeah,
Not that I'm aware of. The Bible mentions different species of life, but the Bible is not direct in its presentation of reincarnation or anything like that. I don't find any direct representation of. In the New Testament, there's some hint of reincarnation, where Jesus Christ talks about John the Baptist, was previously Elijah the prophet, but there's no information, at least directly. Maybe if someone is able to read between the lines and read the esoteric information in the Bible, they'll come up with something like that. But in all my readings of the Bible, both New and Old Testament, I have not come across any direct references other than the one I just mentioned about Elijah the prophet and John the Baptist in the Bible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. I was actually talking to one of my colleagues who's a Kiwi, and that's how we started talking about reincarnation, and that's why I had this question.
Some of the original Christian theologians believed in reincarnation. Like you had one, his name was Origen, he was a Christian theologian. He believed in reincarnation, and you'll have to read some of those early Christian theologians. They did have a belief in reincarnation. Does any other faith believe in reincarnation? The Buddhists, of course, believe in reincarnation. There's the Essene sects, Essene group of Jewish people that believe in reincarnation. There are different. Some of the Sufis may believe in reincarnation. So I think you'll find different groups within different religions where people actually have beliefs in reincarnation. Although in the mainstream, it's rumors. There's rumors about the books in the Vatican, but that's just rumors. But in mainstream religion, it's not good for business to be talking about reincarnation. What do I mean, good for business? Well, if you have one life, then that's it. You better do things right in this life. Or right to them, in most religions, means giving a nice, hefty donation to the church. The way the church in the beginning days, or in the Middle Ages, would make a lot of money was by selling free passes to go back to the spiritual world. It's called indulgences. It's like, you sell a pass to a football game. So they would sell these basically certificates, tickets, big tickets, big certificates. If you give a certain amount of money, then you get to go back to home, back to wherever. No matter what you do in this lifetime, you're saved. And a lot of Christianity is based upon you believe and you be saved, you join the church and you be saved, you get baptized and you be saved. And there's even one Christian group, and I'm not going to name them. Please don't write it down in the chat window because I remember who they are. They actually baptize people who are dead to try to save them. People who have died before. They go through the, the obituaries or the different censuses or whatever, the lists of people who died during the last few centuries, and do baptism for them. And thinking this way, they're going to save them. Might be a good idea. We can chant for everybody, go through the list of all the dead people and chant for them. It doesn't work like that. So anyway, there's so many different religions, but in the Indian religions, there's a belief. And we're not just talking about Vaishnavism. We're talking about whether it's a Shaivite or whatever. Generally, there's a belief in reincarnation. But in the Middle Eastern religions, not as much, except for some of the smaller sects within the Middle Eastern religion. When a Vyabhachari Bhava is active and an Anubhava arises, does it discharge and dissipate the Vyabhachari? Not necessarily. Actually, it would be the opposite. When you're doing an expression of love, because Anubhava is an expression that you do deliberately, and then the Vyabhachari comes on when you least expect it. The Vyabhachari may really just completely cover the Anubhava. In other words, let's give an example. Anubhava may be dancing in ecstasy, but I may have not me, of course, but just using it as a hypothetical. I may be dancing in ecstasy, that's Anubhava. And then I may be overcome with just complete fainting, so that may stop the dancing. Obviously, if you faint and fall to the ground, you ain't going to be dancing too well. One of the Vyabhacharis is like death. Not dying completely, but just for all intents and purposes. Like when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Lord Jagannath for the first time, he fainted, and some people thought that he had died. So they had to put a cotton swab in front of his nose to see if there was any breath coming out, and they discovered he was alive. They took him to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house, chanted Hare Krishna, and he came back to external consciousness. So that's an example of Vyabhachari Bhava. There's 33 of them, and they are quite intense, and they come around when no one's expecting them to come around, and they can't be controlled. But the Anubhavas are something you can really have some control over, dancing and being loud like that. Not just loud like a bore, but loud in Krishna consciousness, or chanting loudly. These are all anubhavas, or voluntary expressions. Okay, I think it's time to end. Thank you all for the nice questions, and we'll see everybody same time, same station tomorrow night. All glory, or tomorrow morning, depending on where you are in this world. All glories to His divine grace. Srila Prabhupada.